Welcome to my podcast, Today's Dream, Tomorrow's Reality. My name is Vickie Poole. I'm a master transformational coach and hypnotist specializing in habit change. And this podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach. And it's all about embracing our mosaic life. And some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life anyway? Well, it's recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. So change any one thing and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And I am your host, and I have a special guest with me that I'll introduce in just a moment. But before I do, I would love for you to do me a solid, and that is to leave a comment, ask a question, and to remember to like, subscribe, and share. So now let's get started. So this beautiful lady right here, which I am amazed, she's got such beautiful skin and such a warm smile. So those that are listening and not watching, just take my word for it. And her name is Jeanne. And did I say that correctly?
That was like perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. So it's such a pleasure to have you here. And just so I can just let everybody know, is that I don't really know a lot about you. And I really like having that as a reference point when I start my podcast, because I love discovering people's stories and what's brought them to where they are. And so I want to say thank you so much for being here. I know you said your assistant had found my podcast and thought we would be a good fit. So I'm
Mhm.
really excited to have you here. And if you want to, you can just take a moment and tell everybody a little bit about you, and then we'll just get into having a conversation.
Sounds good. I love that. Just seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
So I am a multi seven figure coach for coaches and consultants and certain service providers. And my mission is to help people to thrive because I've been through a lot of non-thriving periods in my life. And when I started to do better, I just became more and more and more mission driven to to just help people to thrive, because when you're thriving and when you don't have basic money worries and you're doing something that, you at least like, right?
Hmm.
That makes your life way better.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, I just feel like this life shouldn't just be getting through a job and getting through the day because it's precious. And we really need to honor our lives better and aim higher for
Yeah.
how that goes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's interesting because I was listening to a podcast earlier, and the person on the podcast was talking about this, how he had really been taking life for granted. He had a family and he was busy and everything. And on the drive home from a vacation, he was involved in a horrible accident, and his wife and one of his children passed away. And he
Oh.
realized in that moment that he was frustrated as they were headed home because he knew he had to get back to work. He had already missed a
Mm.
day and he had to get back to work. And he said, if he could just take back the the beginning of the drive and appreciate everybody, and maybe it wouldn't have happened, who knows. But it's
Mm.
like we spend a lot of time thinking about what we've got to do, right?
Mhm.
And we're not appreciating the things that we have. And so that just what came to my mind as you were talking. But I'm
Mhm.
really curious. I know you said that you've got some times of lack, I guess,
Mm.
for a bit,
Mhm.
lack of a better word.
Mhm.
Um, but so how did you how did you feel when you were in that lack place, and what brought you to just going in to create this space for people and for yourself? Because I imagine you had to create this seven-figure business for yourself before you were able to coach other people how to do it, right?
Right. And it was as I was doing it as well. I didn't, obviously I'm getting clients and it's building it. Well, I mean,
Okay.
this is the thing about life. Unless you're in your 20s or 20, you've been through many iterations and there's many revolutions in your life. Like
Right, right.
there's a revolution, there's another revolution. Um, And it's not like I went through hard times once. It was like many times. It was this, and
Yeah.
then it changed, and I was in a different country. And so, I love those stories where people were like, well, I was poor and now I'm rich. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, okay. It's much more complex than that. And
Yeah.
it's up and down, and there's a next iteration and what you're doing and that. So it's hard for me to, I'll talk about the time before I started making money. So
Okay.
5 years ago, I was in deep debt. That was the next iteration, deep debt, 2 kids. I'm a solo parent and wasn't always a solo parent. And we had to move to the Midwest from where we were. We were in New York, and it was sort of easier to get clients offline there because New Yorkers tend to maybe invest more than maybe Midwesterners because it's you have to make more money and there's more pressure. In the Midwest, people are just fine and they're fine. And it's sort of that life I'm saying, it's just fine. Right. So they
Hmm.
don't see a need to aim. So not everybody, but
Right.
I did notice that there was more of that. Let's put it that way. Because
Hmm.
people in the Midwest that are listening are going to be like, what? I'm a go-getter and I invest. So it's no, it's just like general thing. And I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
notice that. And other
There's
people noticed,
exceptions to everything, right?
people told me generally we agree with you. So,
Yeah.
and I thought, you know what? This offline marketing, I was coaching for 8 years already, all sorts of businesses, and I did get some clients, but it wasn't sustainable. I said, this is not sustainable to get business. It's that thing where you have something great, but there's nobody to buy it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care how great your coaching is. If there's not a market, there's not a market for it. So I thought I have to get online. I just have to tackle that. I have to learn. I didn't know anything about online business. I didn't love it. I didn't love social media. Certainly didn't know anything about funnels and tech and all of that. And I thought, okay, so what? You just got to learn this. And that thing when you have a really steep mountain to climb and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I got to do another hard thing. And I think life is really about taking those big things and another whole new thing to learn. I
Hmm.
thought, okay, I got to do this. So I just went online and I found a coaching program, which wasn't really very good, but at least me got me online. And I plonked down 10K on 3 different credit cards. And I just thought, I
Hmm.
just got to get online, just get on there. So I found my way through that program. I figured stuff out myself and I created some new stuff and I figured out how to get clients online with no ads. And people were like, how did you do that? And, I'm not the only one doing it, but I did it in such a simple way. It was something
Hmm.
new the way I did it. And so I started getting clients. They're like, this is great. I don't want to do ads. I don't want to do funnels and tech and all that stuff. And
Right.
heck, I just want to do what you're doing. So started getting more clients and I got to $1 million in 17 months. And I had to pinch myself. I was literally pinching myself. Like, how, what? How did I do this? It was like,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like it was so natural for me that, oh yeah, well, I'm, a millionaire now. It really was like, wow, I did this. And I had to keep checking my numbers. And I'm like, did I really bring 1 million? Wow. Obviously, when you make 1 million, it was pretty high profits though, because it was now I have a team. So the profits are definitely lower because I have a team and I'm not doing as much, but I managed to do that on my own. Like I had a little bit of VA help and I was just going for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I kept going and I've been doing this 5 years and I think I'm almost at 4 million. I got to check. Um, so that's the story. And that's very empowering for me, but it's also
Hmm.
empowering for other people because I was 54 when I got online. I'm 59 now. So it's not like, oh, well, that's because you're young. Well, no, I wasn't. It's
Yeah.
because, you're a guy. Well, no, I'm not. It's because you got, a loving and adoring, supportive spouse. No, I don't.
Yeah.
So it, it, it proved to people, and I was not techie. That's because you're a digital marketer. No, I wasn't. So I think it proved to people that if somebody like me can do that, anybody can.
Yeah.
And that's really validating for people and it encourages them because if we see somebody and it's like, oh, well, that's because of this, then we're like, well, I can't do that because they're different. When they saw how challenged I was, they're like, okay, that's pretty challenged. So that probably will work for me. And I think it was better I came from nowhere
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
easier to relate. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So what do you feel like when you were first getting into this and the digital marketing and all that stuff? What was your biggest challenge that you had to overcome?
Oh, it was just learning everything. Like, how do I get on social media and content and how to speak to people and how to get people to be interested in my coaching and get them on a call and sell it that way. So yeah, it was a steep learning curve. And I just figured stuff out and I created stuff and I made it simple because I don't like the complicated things at all. If something's complicated, I won't do it.
Hmm.
And
Or when it comes to that, I might start. Sure as hell
right,
won't finish.
right. I won't even start. I always say, you know what, this is too complex. And that's actually a talent. That's a
Yeah.
gift. It's a
Hmm.
gift that I know. No, that's just too, that is too complicated. I don't like complication. Let's make it simple. Top business people have said to keep it simple.
Hmm.
Um, And if it's too complex, I always evaluate, like when people want to like the service, I'm like, oh, you know what? That's a little too complex. There's too many moving parts and there's too much to build. And I don't know if that's going to work. It's not that I need it to work immediately. It's just that it's so complex. You just get lost in the process. And
Yeah.
you can't see the end. And I want to be able to know, I understand, okay, we're going to do that, that, and that. It's all going to fit there and that. Okay. But if it's like this, and then there's funnels and this, and I'm like, no. So, and also I find a lot of people propose very complex situations because then they can charge you more. And then it's like, so far between now and results that you feel like you're getting stuff. I don't want stuff. I want results.
Results, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simply. And even I
Mm-hmm.
started a podcast. I figured it out, like how to do that really simply. And people are like, how did you do that? And how to get clients just because I have a podcast really simply. So
Yeah.
that then urged me to create another small program. I haven't created a program in 5 years, but I thought I will do stuff when I'm pushed into it, like, energetically, like this makes sense instead of
Yeah.
like sitting around thinking, what do I create? That's sort of forced in a way.
Yeah, I like letting the people that I'm around, the market, so to speak, to tell me what they need
Mm,
and go from there. Because a lot of times, and I will say most of the time, what I need is what they need too, because we seem to attract the
yes.
same people, you know.
Mm,
Um, and I have a group on Facebook, and I share an affirmation and a journal prompt every day live in the group.
mhm.
And what's interesting to me, kind of on this connection thing, is sometimes I'll have AI help me to create some, or I'll find some affirmations and journal prompts. And a lot of times I just intuitively create one for something
Right,
that's going on for me, right? And it seems like every time I do it that way, there's so many people online that'll say, oh, that's exactly what I needed today.
right,
So I guess it goes back to that thing. What is it that they always say, that when the student is ready, the teacher will come? And
right.
so by you just energetically being who you are, you're just bringing in the people who can resonate and want what you have, right?
Right, right. Yeah. No, it's important. It's important to, I think people just try so hard to create something like I want to create but you know, it, do they want it though? Do they need it? Like
Yeah,
usually when you look at what people need and want, they want more clients, they want more money, they want more happiness, peace, mind, better relationships, better health.
yeah,
That's kind of it really. And fulfillment. Like that's it really. Peace of
yeah,
mind, fulfillment, more money, better jobs, security, better relationships, you know, and be happy. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
You're not looking for anything that complex, not really,
I
you know?
agree.
And people are bending over backwards to create this complex stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what people want. They want to be happy.
Yeah,
And how does that look? Well, I got to say, I am way happier now that I'm making more money, way happier.
yeah.
It is happiness to not worry about bills. That's happiness.
Yeah,
You know?
and well, for one thing, that takes the angst out of you create things because you need the money. You're
Right.
creating from a different energy, and
Mm,
then people can feel the desperation in the interaction, and you get less people wanting what you have anyway. But if your
100%.
basic needs are met, then you're creating from a space of love and compassion and just glorious connection with people. And
Right, and
so it's a
well, impact too, because
impact,
on
yes.
the higher Maslow's hierarchy, when you go further up, where you're
Yeah,
fed, you know, you have health taken care of, all of that. Then it's like you get above that. It's like, okay, now I'm not worried about that. We go on vacation whenever we want. We have a nice car. We live in a nice place. We have some investments. Kids are taken care of. Like, what's the next move? The next move is other people. It really is. Now, of
yeah,
course, there was impact in everything I did all the time, but it was me and them. Now it's like, okay, sure, I want to make more money. Why? Do you think I need more money? No, I don't. I don't really spend that much, and I spend on what I want, but I'm not that American that just buys stuff. It doesn't
right.
fulfill me to buy stuff. No, I'm not frugal. I'm minimalistic because I don't like clutter.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't go buy stuff because it makes me happy and fulfilled. That's not happiness for me. I don't have that work shopaholic addiction that I need to buy stuff to feel fulfilled. Thank goodness. I buy stuff because I want or need it.
Right.
I just want it. Like I want a new dress. Sure, I'll buy it. It's great. It's not going to make or break my life. I just wanted that dress and that's it.
Yeah.
So it does get you to a point where you start thinking more and more about other people. Like I'm thinking of starting a foundation now so that when I give money away, it's more beneficial to have a foundation, you know?
Yeah.
And it's what does that look like? Then you start thinking really above the box. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
So
now
is a
who can I
foundation
help?
similar to like having a nonprofit? And I don't know the
Um,
distinction. Is it
well,
similar?
a foundation is you don't need a nonprofit. You just need the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like your accountant sets it up for you. It's an
Okay.
account. And that means that when you give it away, you have to give a certain amount away, and you have to give a certain amount away to keep the foundation. But then when you do give it away, it's more beneficial for you. It's not just, I think you get like 30% tax break
Okay.
on the donation or something, or
Okay.
you can, I think you can um deduct more as a
Okay.
loss than if you're just handing money over.
Yeah.
So it's more beneficial because then you want to give more away.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I will say one of the reasons that I really want to, I have certain financial goals is, for my comfort and helping family and all that stuff, but I really want to be able to help other people. And so I was always thinking that it would be a nonprofit, but now that you're talking about that, I'm thinking, that might be what I could do. And then I can affect a lot more people in that way.
Right. Well, the thing is, it's not like a company, so I don't have to do anything. I don't have to create a not-for-profit, and like a not-for-profit is a company, and you're
Right.
doing the foundation's just like a bank account. It's just you have a foundational like status, and it's just you have to get an LLC with it, I think, or
Mm-hmm.
something. I'm not sure, but your accountant can set it up, and they pay you to do that. It's a certain, I don't know what the number is, but you don't have to do anything. You don't have to create a service. All you need to do is give money away. That's it. So
All right.
that's
That
why some
sounds
of these,
fun.
yeah, but and it's more benefit. So like all the big people have foundations. They're not necessarily doing. They're just giving the money away, right?
Yeah.
But they do it from a foundation instead of out of their personal pockets because it's
Okay.
flowing through the foundation and it is more beneficial. Obviously, it's more beneficial for them to give through the foundation, and they figured that out, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but you do need to give. I think you have to give away like a minimum of 10K a year or something.
Okay.
So there is a minimum. You can't have a foundation and give $1,000 away. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are rules. I think it was something like 10K every year needs to be donated to a cause or a church or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So that's the
Wonderful.
way to make it more beneficial when you are giving. And
Yeah.
so as I was saying, I wasn't thinking before of starting a foundation. It never crossed my mind
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have the kind of money to think about giving 10K away at
Right.
minimum a year. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so that's where you get, it's like we're taking care of. Obviously, I'm still investing and wanting to build that up for my retirement. If I do retire, let's not say retirement,
Yeah.
for when I get older. Because I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
that I'm going to retire, but generally human beings slow down at a certain age because, you know, I don't know how long I'm going to have this kind of energy, maybe till I'm 80, maybe not, but
Yeah.
probably not going to have the same amount of energy in 20 years, right? Unless,
You never know.
I work on my longevity a lot. We'll see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't say retirement because I don't know if I ever will actually retire.
Yeah, I don't think I will because it's
Mm.
like I get so much pleasure from doing this kind of stuff. It
Mhm.
just feels like the thing that lights my soul, not necessarily that I'm working. And so I think you retire from work. You don't retire from your life purpose. And so it just stays
Exactly.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just change what you're doing to make it fit in with your schedule or your
Yeah.
energy level. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you do actually? You're a coach of sorts?
I'm a coach and a hypnotist.
Oh.
I do a lot with helping primarily women, but I have men as well, to the ones that are wanting to speak like on podcast or on a stage or just go to networking events and be able to have conversations. I help those people kind of get out of their limiting beliefs and out of their head and just naturally flow with conversations so that
Mm.
they can just stand up and stand out and be relaxed and have fun.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So When you're working with your clients, are they usually people that have had a business for a while? Are they new business owners? Are they physical space owners, or are they mostly online businesses?
Okay, it's all online coaches and consultants.
Okay.
Okay. I used to do people with brick and mortars. It's not worth it. I mean, some of them might have that aspect. Some of my clients also have a brick and mortar, but they want to get online because they realize that that's where the money is. Because,
Hmm.
sitting behind your computer, not having to get up and drive around, and, it's also the cost of having a brick and mortar. Unless you're a massage therapist, you're going to need a brick and mortar. But I mean, for coaches, we don't need brick and mortar anymore. And also,
Yeah.
you can get clients all around the world. So, to answer your question, I'm very happy to say we help all sorts of coaches because we are not gatekeepers. So some of the people that come and work with us are just wanting to get started. And they're like, I want to be a coach. I'm like, great. I'm glad we're talking now because we're going to save you a lot of time and money where you're not going to, new coaches don't know what they're doing and they just waste time and it goes on for years. So when somebody's just starting is actually the best time to work with us because they haven't wasted any time yet. We're just shortcut it and it's all high ticket. Well, most of it's high ticket. Some of my clients do a bit mid ticket and I'm also now helping people with like monthly membership programs, but
Hmm.
mainly my gig is mainly to help people with high ticket to get a cash injection because that is meaningful in a life. To get a cash injection that creates change in somebody's life. To get a cash injection, it's meaningful. You can pay your mortgage or pay down debt but so what I want to get away from when I coach people, and I have, is this whole thing of coaching people to make a little bit of money. And it's this long, hard slog and a slow bleed, right?
Right.
Not my mission. My mission is to change lives now as
Hmm.
much as possible. And it works. The high ticket works. There was some murmur that I heard that, oh, nobody wants to pay high ticket. I'm getting more of my year-long program, people coming in than ever now,
Hmm.
regardless of politics or presidential elections or inflation or recession. People still need very high quality coaching. And when you can demonstrate you've been doing that, people are like, well, you're the one, obviously, but you're doing this 5 years and look at all your, long list of testimonials. So it is. And then I get people that are experienced coaches that have never gotten where they want. They're okay, but they're like, I've never gotten that. It's just been, and that also can be demoralizing just to be okay when you're a coach. A coach is not coaching to be okay. That's
Yeah.
not why coaches coach. So they don't feel aligned because they're like, or congruent because they're like, I'm coaching people to have better than okay, but I'm just been okay for years and it doesn't feel good. I want more. So, like some of my coaches, one woman had been coaching for 16 years
Wow.
and came in and she had lost all of her referrals, had dried up. And I said, well, that was a problem. And she goes, oh, it's been a problem for a while, but I was getting a lot of clients and I didn't, go the extra mile to create my own marketing. So she came in and she was scared to death. And I said, well, you're a great coach. Just because your lead gen's dried up doesn't make you not a great coach. She goes, I don't see that though, because my mindset's taken a turn. And I said, we got you. She had her highest cash month ever the first month of working with us. And
Oh,
she
wow.
said, it was just because you believed in me.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things we help with: mindset, sales, content, um, little tweaks, just intention. Of course, a lot of strategy and lead generation and stuff like that. So really it's just any coach that sees themselves as a visionary, because we only work with visionaries. And that means somebody that just wants to help and not somebody that just wants to get into coaching to make money. Generally that doesn't go well because I'm very mission driven. And so if I'm coaching somebody that's just about the money, it's probably not going to go well energetically because
Right.
it has to be a flow through. I call it a flow through that I'm mission driven, you're mission driven. Sure, you want to make a ton of money helping people. So that's who we work with. And they don't have to be famous or making any money. And some people are just starting and they're like, oh, I'm glad I met you. How do I do this? And it's the fastest path to cash is what I want to find.
Okay, cool. So do you remember back when you were first starting out, what was that led you to be a business coach? So did you start out as a different kind of coach and
Mm,
then go into the business side of things? What
mhm.
happened?
I started as a life coach.
Did you? Okay.
Yep. And the very first clients I ever got, I was helping them with their business and their life immediately. I was
Yeah.
just good at it. And my coach said, Jeanne, she's a business coach. She said, you're actually a business coach. She said, that's insane the way that they're making more money immediately. And I said, okay. So for a while, I called myself a life and business coach, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like Marie Forleo, because she called herself a life and business coach. And I thought, well, she's doing it, so can I, because that was 13 years ago.
Right.
And and then then it was really business. There's always life in it, but I didn't call it
Yeah.
life. And then I got certified as an executive leadership coach as well. So I was doing like life and executive leadership, and I'd go into companies as well. And then when I got online 5 years ago, um, I realized that coaches really need help. And there's so many of them. And a lot of them just spend years just not feeling good about their lives because they're not making any money and they don't want to give up. So they live badly. And it's just wrong because you're a coach. You don't want to live badly. That's not what you're about. So there's just this disconnect with coaches of I want to be a coach. I want to help other people, but they're not getting the help they need to thrive and feel great about their business because it's painful. I
Mm-hmm.
went through that where I was not making much money and I questioned myself every day. I thought, wait a minute, helping these people make a lot of money and I'm not doing well. They're doing well. So my clients were lucky. They were doing better than I was. And this is a common thing. And I thought, I want to get it where I'm doing well and my clients are doing well. So now I'm completely congruent.
All right. So what did you do different to create that congruence so that you were doing as well, if not better,
I got
than your
online.
clients?
I got
Okay.
online and I
So
learned
that's what made the biggest difference?
100%.
Okay.
Like it's a huge opportunity. Online is such a huge opportunity. We should be like, I thank God every day for that. Like that.
Oh, me too.
I mean, I couldn't have made almost $4 million if we didn't have the internet. I
Yeah.
would have just by networking, that
Yeah.
wouldn't have worked. There's not the critical mass. So I'm so grateful that we have this amazing tool called the internet that changed my life. And I'm just so grateful that I'm here for it. And it happened in my lifetime,
Yeah.
and because I would have just been like all these other coaches, always networking. And I did okay. I mean, I wasn't doing badly. I mean, one year I made 100K working 20 hours a week, but it's not that 100K isn't going to change my life as much as I need it to change to catch up on the years of not making any money at all. Like
Right.
you really need to make a lot of money when you're 54 and have no savings, no 401k, no nothing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because let's work the numbers out, right? Like some people have
Mhm.
401ks and superannuation and all sorts of stuff for years, and then they retire and they're okay. I had
Yeah.
none of that, none. And I thought, whoa, I need to really make really massive, massive change, massive, like actual real, like moving the needle. And I knew that. So I was like, this needs to happen. And praying and doing the work, I just feel I feel so blessed that this worked. Like I pinch myself every day. I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful I can help other people do my simple stuff because we have helped a lot of people that just didn't believe. They're like, how how can I do this? And I'm not saying every client has made as much money as me, but I'm the coach. But they
Right.
certainly learned and they don't want as much money as me. They're good. They have a spouse or, they're fine. They just want to
Yeah.
make, 10, 20, 30, 40K months and they're good. I want more than that, obviously. And I have
Yeah.
had more than that. And I do have more than that because I also want to get massive amounts of money so I can give money away and invest in things. So my vision is bigger and bigger. And
Right.
it's not because I personally need more money, because
Right.
I
You've
don't.
just got more to do.
I got more to create. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm so grateful. Yes, getting online and learning how to talk to people online and
Mm-hmm.
get them to buy is so simple. It takes mastery and we coach on that, but it is so simple. It's beautiful that you can do this even. I mean, what an opportunity. When I figured out how to do this, I was like, wow, I just blew my own mind here. That
Yeah.
this something so simple works so well and could create so much wealth. And people see it. They're like, okay, I see this. I see what you've done. So it is a gift. And I feel like one of my talents is simplifying things for people. I think that's one of it's just simplify
Yeah.
and not complicate. And people have said that. They said, you gave me hope because I thought this was going to be so complicated. And I'm out there getting high ticket clients with very little tech or setup or webinars or, all that stuff, funnels, things like that.
Well, it's good when there's somebody that can kind of fill in the gaps. And I'm just going to share this lawnmower story that I share all the time. And it may sound like it doesn't make any sense for this, but I had moved into a new house and I had my lawnmower that I hadn't used in probably a year because I had somebody taking care of my yard. Well, when
Mm,
I moved into the house, I thought, well, I'm just going to cut the grass. And I couldn't get my lawnmower cranked. And
mm,
so I went online and looked at different videos on YouTube, and I found somebody, and the guy's telling me, for what I was doing, I needed to change the spark plug. So
mm,
he shows the spark plug, a picture of the spark plug, and then he shows with him with the spark plug in his hand. He talks about, how to get the number to go get a new one and all that
mhm,
stuff. So I go to the lawnmower and I cannot get the spark plug out. It's like
mm.
he did not show how he did it. He
Exactly.
just showed it there, right? And I
Mhm,
ended up having to get a neighbor that I did not know to come over, and there was a special tool that I needed to unlock that spark plug to get it out and take care of everything. And so I think you're one of the people that is showing the removing the spark plug and
mhm,
then holding it in your hand. So to me, that's very valuable because I will tell you, just for that one thing, for that spark plug, I
mhm,
looked at video after video after video,
mhm.
and they all did the same thing because a lot of times when you know how to do it, you
You
don't
don't
think to
explain it.
tell everybody how to do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they assume, and often that's the thing. I'm always that's actually my sort of anxiety. I always wanna make sure I have all the information, because if you leave one piece of information out like they did, you
Mm-hmm.
can't do it. You
Yeah.
can't do it. So people go, "Oh, I know how to do that," but yet they're missing steps.
Yeah.
So we show every step because I am anal about that kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that would drive me crazy. I'm like, why can't they just show you how to pull the what? Just
I know.
show you how
That's
to
why
pull it
I'm
out.
not,
Because
I don't know how to do
yeah.
this.
So that's the thing when people go, well, I'm doing that already. I'm like, yet you're not. Because if
Yeah,
you were doing it properly,
you'd already be
then you'd be
there.
making money,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah,
And they're like, well, that's fair, but I'm already doing all that. Well, then there's nowhere to go. If people say they know how to do something, and that's all they have, and it's not working, then how are you ever going to get clients? Ever?
yeah,
They're just,
yeah,
there's a disconnect. So I'm like, well, then what are you going to do? Oh, I'm just going to keep going, doing stuff that doesn't work
yeah, yeah.
right?
That
Forever,
whole definition of insanity, right?
forever. And my thing is, I want all the information now. And
Yeah.
sometimes when I get that piece of information, I go, ah, that was the piece missing.
Mm-hmm.
The piece that they're holding back often. You figure
Mm-hmm.
that out, or you coach with the person and they finally give it to you and you're like, ah, now I get it. It takes one step missing
Yeah,
for something not to work.
it does.
Yeah, like I like the lawnmower story. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
That's the best way I can explain it because that
Mm,
was, just happened a couple of years ago and it was like, poof. But and one of the things that I thought I wanted to pop back on was you were talking about how some people don't really want a lot of money, or maybe it's not part of their need and everything. Well,
mhm,
I had a gentleman that I dated for quite a while, and he was a person that he was a school teacher, but he had all these extra credentials, so he made good money. He taught
mhm,
a foreign language,
mm,
and but he did not understand me as an entrepreneur because,
mhm.
no matter what he did extra, he made the same amount all the time, right?
Yeah.
So he was just like, I don't understand why you feel like you have to do this over here and you have to do this over there. And why do you want to be dreaming about this big house? And why are you not satisfied with this house that you're in? And,
Yeah.
he just did not get it. And it was
Yeah.
like, that's when I realized that, man, oh man, if you're an entrepreneur and you have goals and dreams, you better be surrounding yourself with people
Yes.
that understand it,
Right.
because people that don't will do everything they can to pull you away from it.
Right.
Let's
And
go
even
do this instead.
yes, but even if they're not doing it on purpose,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
I'm sure they're
they're
not.
living their lives, but they and no offense. I mean, I do not devalue other people's dreams, lives. I don't look down. Everybody has their own thing, You do
Mm-hmm.
me, you do you, I'll do me, Go
Yeah.
do you and I'll do me. And that's the thing. I think it's just really being not tolerant. That's like we're not tolerating. It's being understanding that not everybody wants what we want, and that's fine because it takes all types. And I think it's wonderful that somebody lives in whatever house they're living and they're satisfied. If they're satisfied,
Yeah.
if they're
That's
not in
the thing.
denial,
If they're satisfied,
if they're sad,
that's
if they're
right.
not in denial that they're just fine because they're in denial that they're fine. If they truly are happy with the simple life, I love it. I don't need a
Mm-hmm.
lot to be happy. I really don't. As I said, I'm a simple person. However, I do like to flex. I like to say, hey, I'm going to go wherever I want and I'm going to stay at any hotel I want. That's fun for me,
Yeah.
right? Because I used to pinch pennies when I had the, you know, broke single mom. It wasn't that I was cheap. We had no money. So I had to count everything. And,
Mm-hmm.
you get tired of that. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that anymore. That's old. So now when I go to a restaurant, I don't want to look at prices. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to eat what I want to eat and I'm done. That, that to me is freedom,
Yeah.
to not have to do that energy of how much are we spending. And surely I don't just spend whatever I want on anything because we do have a budget, right? But yeah, I mean, if they're happy, they're happy. If they're not happy, but they're pretending they're happy, that's a big problem. That's going to cause mindset issues. But certainly, we should be able to dream and want what we want and not have everybody look down on that because we want to create more. We
Yeah.
want to have more of a wondrous life. Life is one big adventure for me.
Yeah.
So why would I stop now? That's like death
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah. Well, it's like that saying, that there's only constant in life is change. So you're either changing for the better or you're sliding backwards somewhere, just kind
Yes.
of like being tossed by the wind. So you're either growing or you're dying, basically.
Yes. You're
And
expanding or
so
shrinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I expect to expand and I do what I need to expand because that's what life is to me. That's what makes life fun and beautiful. Otherwise, I feel like it doesn't have a purpose.
Right.
I have a big purpose. And so it's beautiful when you get to surround yourself with other people that are purpose driven and have these goals and ideas and can affect other people's lives. It's just beautiful.
Well, it pushes you further. It makes you
Hmm.
strive more for that. I love when
Yeah.
I'm around people that are way more advanced than me because I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, I got to stretch my vision more now here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, I don't know who it was that the quote comes from. I don't remember, but they said, if you're the most advanced person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah. You've
Yeah.
got to be where other people are more advanced so that you can learn and grow and they pull you with them.
Right.
So yeah.
100%. I like to be the dumbest person in the room. If I'm the smartest person in the room, there's no growth there.
Yeah, yeah,
None.
yeah,
Like I don't want to be in that room. I want to be the dumbest because I'm okay being dumb because
yeah.
you learn more when you're dumb and curious.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's funny because I used to, oh man, I hated to appear dumb. I did not want to be the dumbest person in the room. And there
mhm,
were a lot of times I did not try things because I didn't
mhm.
want to appear dumb.
Um,
So I would say, oh no, I don't enjoy doing that. I don't really like that or whatever, just because I didn't know how.
mm,
And over time, I got to the place where, maybe it's not that I don't know how, it's I don't know how yet.
mm,
And I need
yes.
to be open to expanding out. But I will say, for a lot of my life, it was you don't even try if you don't know how.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's what keeps you stuck is
Yes. Yeah,
and
definitely.
and as a coach, I feel that we need to actively practice curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
As a coach, we cannot be good coaches or great coaches if we're not curious about expansion and
Yeah.
growth. And the day where we say, "Oh, I know everything," we're a terrible coach. That's
Yeah,
the
I
day where
agree.
we're a terrible coach, right?
Yeah.
But I love saying to people, "Hey, I really don't know anything about this. Can you explain that to me, please?" And they're like, "Oh, sure." And smart people know that you're not as smart as they are about their stuff, and they probably don't know everything I know about like digital marketing.
Right.
So I'm totally fine saying, you know what? I know nothing about that. Explain that to me, please. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay. And they love it. I mean, if you're intelligent enough to grasp an idea, then they can explain it to you.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, that's how we learn is just that and reading, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say, when I finally came to that realization that I could learn things and people didn't expect me to know everything all the time. And even if they were disappointed or whatever, it didn't matter because that was more about them than it was about me.
Right.
But it took
Right.
me a lot of years to realize that. But definitely been an amazing transformation of my life from that point.
Mm. Also, it we have to get to a point where we're actually, I mean, where we're actually mature. Like, you know,
Yeah.
how long, sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, am I ever going to be actually mature, or till the day I die, I'm going to be a kid? Cause, you know, I think about that. Right. And I think really, you really have to not care what other people think about you. It really, I really don't care what people think about me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to do the wrong thing and have my family mad at me, you know, but, uh, and I think when you get past that, it's real power. It's,
Yeah.
I don't care what you think about me. I'm good with myself. I'm doing the right thing. I'm ethical. My clients love me. I'm doing my best on, you know, I'm not perfect, but you don't like me. That's your right. I
Yeah.
think young people can't do that.
I
They,
agree. I
yeah,
agree.
a lot of older people can't do it either.
Yeah.
But when you don't care what other people think and you're just like, I'm living my message, that's when you're free.
Yeah. Well, there was somebody I was talking to yesterday, and one of the things they said was if there's not somebody that disagrees with you, you're not talking to enough people.
Exactly. You're under a cabbage leaf if five people
That's
think you're
right.
amazing. Yeah.
That's
No,
right.
it's true. When I started getting people actually trolling me, I thought, oh, I've arrived. When I got people mad at me and how could you say that? And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, I'm being noticed. That's yay.
Hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
I saw it was, oh, well, I must have enough exposure now that somebody's bothered that I've made money and how dare you say this? And I'm a block, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I thought, oh, good, I've arrived. See, it's how you look at things
That's
in
right.
life. It really is how you look at things is everything. How you see things is everything.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So we're getting close to time. So why don't you, if you don't mind, share a little bit about things that you're doing right now that people might want to pop in and take advantage of. But before you do, I want to tell everybody that in the actual description, show notes, whatever you call them, I will have links to everything that you have, you do, and then that way they will have information right there. But in the meantime, for somebody that might be listening and they're not looking at the description, then maybe you can tell them how to reach you and what you're doing.
Sure. So, you know, it's Jeanne Omlor, JeanneOmlor.com. And / reviews, you can see all of our client results. Also, I have a podcast called business.wealth.impact that can be found, you know, Apple, Spotify, wherever, YouTube. And yeah, and I'm just all over social media, Instagram, my name, Jeanne Omlor, Facebook, Jeanne Omlor, LinkedIn, Jeanne Omlor. If you want to reach out to me, Jeanne Omlor at Gmail. So it's all very simple, as I said. So people have no problem reaching out. And I'm always glad to speak to people.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, um, I I didn't know you before we got on here, but I definitely feel like I know you more now, and I'd like to get to know you better. And
Mhm.
so maybe we can do this again sometime and dive a little bit deeper into some of these thoughts and things that you were sharing, because it's very on point with a lot of my beliefs and the things that I like talking about
Mhm.
anyway. So it would be great. It would be great. But so with that, do you have any one last word or any last thought before we close up?
Yes, it's that life is just too short. You know, do it now. Like, if not now, when? This thing of putting off your life and your good and putting off everything, it's killing people. It's putting off life. So if you want to do something, just stop the excuses and just do it now.
Beautiful. And that just ties in with the best quote that I love to share. And I will be honest, I do not know who said it, and I keep getting different people telling me different things. So regardless, I will go ahead and share it. But is